Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Radio here today for May 15th. 2025, Graham GSM Matthews here, as always, joined by the one, the only, the illustrious man himself, the greatest co-host in the biz, Mr. Marceau. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Jesus, did I Venmo you $1,000? Those are the greatest intro I've ever gotten. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well. We got a lot to get into here today between Backlash and some WWE news and notes. Your answer might be on the shorter side, but I posed the question in the headline: does WWE, are they starting? And I can't even really say starting. This has been the case for quite a while now. Are they favoring quantity over quality with the amount of shows they got going on right now? There's a very busy schedule, a lot for us to talk about, which is great. Between Backlash this past weekend and you turn around, we got Saturday night's main event coming up next week, followed by Money in the Bank and Night of Champions, another Saturday night's main event, and so much more. And that's not even counting all the other wrestling shows going on right now. We'll talk more about it as we get into it here today on WrestleRant Radio for May 15th, 2025. Quick shout out to our channel members: Alexis Miss Mod Matthews, Dylan DeGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve1 on the IG at Swerve1, WON. Daniel Malcolm and letter I, letter M, quarter on X. Follow him there. Mr. Marceau himself, RJ Marceau, at RJ_Marceau on the Twitter machine. John Ritland here on YouTube. Real Honesty with John Ritland. Check out Richie's channel as well. Red Planet Wrestling here on YouTube. And finally, last but not least, Average Grunt at the Average Grunt on X. If you want to sign up for a WrestleRant All Access Pass to get shout-outs at the beginning and end of every live stream here on the channel, you also get top billing here on shows like this, #AskGSM, emojis and badges in the live chat, members-only live streams, early and ad-free access to certain videos, and so much more. You could do so by checking out the description box. All the information is there. New episodes of WrestleRant Radio available every single Thursday, of course, here in video form. If you're watching it here first, it's on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/WrestleRant. You can also check out the audio version as it goes up after the fact on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all the usual favorite podcast platforms. So, like I said, a lot to get into here today between Backlash this past week, some thoughts on Raw, the WWE upcoming schedule, some little bit of AEW news and thoughts. I'll save that for the end. But do want to shout out everyone in the chat joining us so far. Daniel Malcolm, I saw in the chat there earlier. Fernando saying Buenos Dias, WrestleRant. Buenos Dias, Fernando. Maria joining us saying hello, wrestling fans. Alexis, of course, here as always saying afternoon, y'all. Johnny saying hola, bonjour. And he also said, I'm just like WWE. I favor quality over quantity. Same thing with me, I guess. He said WrestleRant is amazing because they focus on quality over quantity. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. So if you guys have any thoughts, we'll get to them after each kind of block of news that we get into. After each section, I'll address the chat. Share your comments, questions. If you guys have anything for us to talk about, let us know, and I'll answer it, and we'll discuss it here on the show. But before we get to anything, Mr. Marceau, I do want to discuss this. News broke on Sunday. I believe this happened on Saturday. The passing of Terry Brunk, not Terry Funk, who actually already passed away about a year or two ago, the same weekend as Bray Wyatt, I think. Terry Brunk was his real name. Sabu, passing away at the age of 60 this past weekend. The man literally just retired from the ring like 3 weeks ago, having his final match in GCW against Joey Janela. What a shit show that sounds like on paper, but that was over WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. He actually wrestled his retirement match, and just mere weeks after that, passing away. Now, as of this recording, I don't know the circumstances surrounding it. I don't know if that's since come out. I don't think so. But WWE and AEW both paying tribute on their respective shows this week, Raw and Dynamite, which I thought was very classy. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, kind of the passing of a legend, someone that was very influential in the wrestling world as far as the hardcore style. Obviously an ECW legend. Some people probably familiar with him from, if you didn't watch ECW growing up, I sure as fuck didn't. I was barely a baby at that point. But a lot of people might be familiar with him from his short WWE stint about 20 years ago when they brought back ECW. He was only there for about a year, but he was on those one-night stand shows when they first started doing them. Had a couple of runs in TNA. Made an appearance in AEW actually just a few years ago as well. He was also in WCW, New Japan, among other promotions. So very successful, very influential as far as the hardcore wrestling style goes, and a bit of a shocking passing. 60 is still too young. So I want to get your thoughts, Mr. Marceau, on the passing of Sabu. Not even really just your reaction to it, but kind of the legacy he leaves behind in the wrestling world.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, he was like one of the, I guess, trailblazers, you would say, for the extreme wrestling, the hardcore wrestling. Didn't see any of his original ECW stuff, obviously live. I've seen the clips of the flying chair and springboards and barbed wire and all that stuff. So I definitely know of him. And then obviously his brief run when they redid the ECW in WWE in the mid-2000s. Obviously, I was a fan at the time, so I saw all that stuff. He did make a few brief appearances. I saw, like I said, the AEW one. I think it was like him and Jericho. It was like terrible. I don't remember it being good, but do remember that briefly. But yeah, definitely 60 years old. I mean, nowadays that's definitely too young. I mean, most people, I think it's like mid-70s is like average life expectancy, but don't know exactly what the case was, but definitely sad to see him go. It's definitely too soon.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of ECW originals that have passed. It kind of feels like a majority of the people that were on that roster back in the day are no longer with us anymore. Like, we know, like, the Eddie Guerreros and the Benoits and people like that are no longer around. But, like, Balls Mahoney passed years ago. A lot of people, actually. I'd have to go through the ECW roster, but I feel like there's at least one a year that all dying way earlier than they should have. Terry Funk actually was the original ECW champion, and he passed about a year or two ago. He was on the older side. He wasn't like 60. I think he was like 70, maybe 80 something. So he lived for a while. But Sabu definitely on the younger side compared to the rest of them. But yeah, you mentioned his short WWE stint. So, I mean, someone asked me in hashtag the other day, like, my favorite Sabu match. I don't really have one. I mean, I watched his work in WWE, not as it happened, but after the fact. I saw some of his TNA stuff when they were doing fucking EV2 or whatever it was back in 2010 in TNA, that glorious faction/storyline, which wasn't great. He was obviously well past his prime even at that point, and that was when he was 45 years old. But I have seen a few different times, and I might have to go back and watch it, his match with Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship on that one-night stand show. I don't know if that stands out to you, because I know you're a big Rey Mysterio fan, but do you have like a favorite Sabu match that you remember watching, or not so much?
You mentioned in hashtag when I was watching it. I mean, that's the only match to me that comes to mind. Obviously, as a big Rey Mysterio fan at the time, that match 2006 ended in a no contest. Was kind of weird. They did like that, like a springboard DDT spot on the table, and it just I clearly didn't go right. But yeah, besides that, I don't have like another match that sticks out. I feel like he had a couple of matches with Big Show when Big Show was champion ECW. They were like pretty decent.
Yeah,
couldn't even. I mean, I just like see him like giving him the chair spot through like a table and like the steel steps sounds familiar. But besides that, the Mysterio one's the only match I could actually name off the top of my head that I remember.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I think that match with Big Show, like, he had his biggest successes in WWE in the first few months he was there, between the Rey Mysterio match, which was for the World Heavyweight title, the one-night stand, the Big Show match, which we'll get back to in a moment. But he also faced, a lot of people point to this one, he faced fucking John Cena, if people remember that, for the WWE Championship at their Vengeance pay-per-view a couple weeks after One Night Stand, which is kind of surreal in retrospect. Obviously did not win. He was never going to win. But just the fact that match even happened is kind of crazy. I'd have to go back and watch that. But it's funny you mentioned the Big Show match, because I think that happened at SummerSlam, and that was the show that you were there for, right? Wasn't that the show in Boston in 06?
Maybe that's why my recollections are so good that I just remember that. I was at that, SummerSlam 2006, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and they had like a
probably. Yeah, I am looking at that. Yep. See, that's how I remembered. Yeah, he fought Big Show. There you go. See, Reign was 20 years, almost 20 years later. It still works.
There you go. And you, I guess I don't think I would have ever seen him wrestle in person, but yeah, you had the honor of seeing Sabu compete in person. Don't remember the match being great by any means on that 06
No, it definitely wasn't.
It definitely wasn't great. That is still cool. You got to see him wrestle in person 20 years ago. Maria had said TLC matches kind of exist partially because of Sabu. Yeah, I could totally see that. Johnny said, my favorite match with Sabu is him versus Sandman. It's Stairway to Hell. I went back and watched some ECW shows. They said this on hashtag the other day. So I've seen Sabu matches. Like when I went back and reviewed some of the old ECW shows, those shows, to me anyway, were fucking terrible. So like I don't love that stuff, but just not my cup of tea. Where they would play the music for the entirety. I'm going to have the ECW hardcores going after me. No pun intended, but yeah, I've definitely seen some Sabu matches, but the Rey Mysterio one is the one that stands out to me personally. Maria said, she said, I think it was Shane Douglas as the original ECW champion. As the Extreme Championship Wrestling champion, but I think before it was Extreme Championship Wrestling, when it was still Eastern Championship Wrestling, I think Terry Funk was technically the first ECW champion, if I'm not mistaken. Johnny said his favorite feud was with Rob Van Dam. Yeah, they had a lot of matches. They had a lot of matches that I remember from TNA, too. Fernando said, I watched ECW mainly because of Sabu. That's pretty cool. And Johnny also said, match recommendation, Sabu and Rob Van Dam from TNA's Hardcore Justice. That's what I remember. I definitely have not seen that match in full, but I remember they did that match because then it turned into the whole EV2 thing and like they were feuding, which I loved. Fortune. The Fortune stuff in TNA was great, but I think if I'm going to watch any RVD Sabu match, it would probably be from when they were in their prime and not in 2010, which was probably not a great match. But I'd have to go back in the 90s to check out some of their encounters there. And Fernando said, I've seen Sabu perform plenty of times. I assume you mean in person. That's pretty cool. But yeah, sad to see Sabu pass. Hear about that this past week. Rest in peace. What was the nickname? Homicidal, genocidal, suicidal, death-defying maniac. There you go. That's the nickname. Sabu versus Terry Funk barbed wire death match was great as well, Fernando said. Yeah, I've heard about that one. I don't think I've seen that. I might have to go back and watch it. I would rather watch that over some of the death, barbed wire matches we get in AEW now that are kind of done to death, but this was back when it was kind of more of a spectacle. But he was the one that laid the groundwork for that, and without those matches with Sabu, pretty good chance we wouldn't be getting those matches today. Do want to get into Backlash from this past weekend, Mr. Marceau, and overall, what I thought was a very good show in St. Louis on Saturday. A crisp 5-match card. I thought everything was from good to very good to great, and we had some very good matches on the show, including the opener. We'll go match by match here. For the United States Championship, Jacob Fatu besting LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest in a very fun Fatal 4-Way matchup. But not only that, though, we also had the introduction of one Jeff Cobb, best known to some as Matanza Cueto from Lucha Underground. That's how I remember him, baby. But I also know his work in New Japan, Ring of Honor. He's also obviously been in AEW a few different times. He could have gone to AEW if he wanted. I'm sure they would have signed him. He's appeared there a number of times over the years as part of the whole Forbidden Door thing. But he opted to go to WWE instead. He may have made the right choice right out of the gate. Like, instead of debuting in NXT, which is what I kind of figured, maybe like an Obafemi opponent, he went right to the main roster and is now a part of the whole, like, Timu Bloodline thing. They're not the Bloodline anymore, so I'm not really sure what to call them. But, like, he's involved with Solo Sikoa, who brought him in as part of that match to help Jacob Fatu retain the United States Championship. And now we might be looking at Jacob Fatu versus Jeff Cobb at some point. Sign me the fuck up on that. But yeah, a lot of thoughts here. First of all, thoughts on the 4-Way itself, Mr. Marceau, and the arrival and the way they handled the booking of the debut of Jeff Cobb in WWE.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good, fun match to start off with. I mean, the 4-Way, I thought it made sense. Everyone kind of intertwined here. You kind of had LA Knight and Jacob, obviously just had the title match, and then Priest and Drew as well. So thought it was good. You had at the end with Drew and Damian fighting off into the crowd there, and then obviously Jacob and LA Knight. Solo coming out. I'm like, oh, here we go. He's gonna lose, and then bam, Jeff Cobb right there helps Jacob win. Jacob's kind of like, I'm not with you, so we'll see what happens on Friday on SmackDown. So that's a good little tease for Friday. But no, I thought it was good. I thought Cobb looked good here. Obviously, maybe he's now Solo's new heavy. We'll see. Sign me up. I think him and Fatu will be great one-on-one. I mean, Solo, I still don't think's the guy, so we'll see what happens with Solo. But I thought it was a good first match. I thought it was a great way to start the show.
I agree. I thought this was a great way to start the show. Do you think there was a chance of them renaming Jeff Cobb? I had seen they had trademarked the name JC Mateo this past week, and that's significant because obviously, his initials are JC, Jeff Cobb. I know they call him Jeff Cobb at the pay-per-view, so they've already established that's his name. But at the same time, to be fair, like, he didn't go to NXT first. Like, like Ricky Starks was Ricky Saints. He goes, I want to be called the Ricky Saints. Like, he didn't show up on NXT and they called him Ricky Saints, because where the fuck would you have gotten that name from? Because we don't know what his new name is. That would have been pretty dumb if they introduced him as Joe, that's JC Mateo. Like, how the fuck would anyone know that? Because, like, that hasn't been established anywhere else. We know that's not his name. Maybe they call him Jeff Cobb to start, and then they give him the JC Mateo name, or they just stick with Jeff Cobb. I mean, I mentioned this the other day, I think, but when Jacob Fatu debuted, they had trademarked the name Caesar Sikoa, which, first of all, is a great fucking name. That's an awesome name. But Jacob Fatu is who he is. That's what people know him as. Not everyone, because he came from MLW. He wasn't like a massive star. But they ended up keeping him as Jacob Fatu, and they never ended up using the Caesar Sikoa name. So do you think they stick with Jeff Cobb, or do you think they end up changing it as soon as SmackDown on Friday?
I mean, I guess it really depends on how far they see them. I feel like with Jacob Fatu, I feel like they see him probably at a higher level. He's a little bit younger. Mm-hmm. Maybe keep the name obviously well established. I mean, honestly, the Caesar Sikoa, I did not even know that's actually a really good name.
Yeah.
I mean, JC Mateo, don't love it. I'd just stick with Jeff Cobb if that's the alternative.
The funny thing is that if his name outside of WWE was JC Mateo, but his WWE like developmental name was Jeff Cobb, like, people would have made fun of that because it sounds like a stupid name. But like, it doesn't sound dumb because, first of all, this is his real name, and second of all, we've known him as that for so long. But it was very cool to see him in WWE. As a longtime fan of his, dating back to Lucha, that was fucking awesome to see him debut as Jeff Cobb, involved in a prominent storyline. I was marking out. I know you were marking out. I know people that we were watching with didn't quite share the same excitement because they had no idea who the fuck this guy is. But it's understandable. Listen, you will know who he is. If they let him cook on SmackDown, to steal a term from the newer generation, if they just go out there and let him cook, I feel like people will become a fan. I said the exact same thing about Jacob Fatu. You knew who he was. A lot of people knew who he was. But for those that didn't know who he was, I said, let him cook. Give him time and let him shine, and that's exactly what he's done, and now he's the new United States champion. Where do you think they go from here with Fatu and Jeff Cobb and Sikoa? Because I was thinking for a second, maybe Jeff Cobb ends up joining Fatu and they turn on Sikoa. But it kind of looks like, I know Sikoa brought him in here. I'm just saying maybe as a swerve, Jacob ends up having the faction. Where do you think Jeff Cobb ultimately aligns? Who does he align with? Where does his allegiance lie? Is it with Solo or Jacob? And can Jacob kind of afford to go off on his own as a babyface, as a heel? Where do you think this goes?
Yeah, I think he's going to align with Solo. I mean, I feel like Solo is more of the heel in this situation, so he lines with Solo. Jacob's, I mean, I don't even really call him a babyface, but a tweener, I guess you'd say, because, you think of babyface, Jacob Fatu is probably the least babyface you would ever take a picture of. But, no, I think Solo's the heel, and he has Jeff as his heavy, and then, like I said, Jacob's the babyface in quotations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's probably the way to go. They've been teasing Solo and Jacob Fatu for a while. This kind of adds a new wrinkle, especially in the absence of the Tongans. Tongaloa is going to be out for a while, unfortunately. Get well soon, Tongaloa, our king. And then Tama Tonga is also on the mend right now. He, I think, was hurt right before WrestleMania. So, they're both out of the picture. And with them absent, out of the picture for the time being, it kind of makes sense to introduce, I say, a new face. I mean, I will just say this out of the gate. It's very cool for me to see him in WWE for the same reason it's cool to see like an LA Knight in WWE, someone that a lot of people did not expect to ever make it to WWE. Two guys Vince would have never wanted on the main roster. unless they were jobbers or enhancement talent. See Maxine Dupree, by the way, or just Max Dupree. That's the fucking role that he saw LA Knight in a few years ago. Jacob Fatu, just to get this out of the way, will not be a world champion in WWE, but that doesn't mean there's not a role for him on the show, because he is 40,
Jeff
I think
Cobb,
41. What'd you say?
Jeff Cobb, you mean? You said Jacob Fatu.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I get the Jeff and the Jacob, I get mixed up. Jeff Cobb, yeah, thank you. I don't see him as a world champion because, again, he's already 41 years old, but I think there is value
42.
in hiring people like that. 42, there you go, 42.
Turns 43 in July, so it's not
43.
Like... Yep.
So do you think there's, I mean, just to ask a bigger question here, which we've talked about before, WWE has an age problem, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't hire some older guys that have value. Like Jeff Cobb is still very good. He's not who he was even 10 years ago, or it would have been a much bigger signing 5-10 years ago. But I mean, there's still value in hiring people like that. And then also building up the younger generation, people like Fatu, who's in his 30s, Braun Breaker's in his 20s, a lot of women in their 20s in WWE. They have to do a better job of that, but that doesn't mean, oh, don't hire Jeff Cobb just because he's already 43, because he has value.
No, I agree. Like you said, I think with him especially, even though he is a little bit older, we've never actually seen him in WWE. So, like, the age, it's with those older people that we've seen that have come back and forth a few times. It's like, how can I miss you if you don't go away? With him, it's like we've never actually seen him on WWE TV. He's already in his mid-40s, basically. So, I mean, a few years. It's probably one of his last runs. I think it's a different – with the age, it's different because we've never actually seen him, so you can get more longevity out of it, even though he is older. With some of these older guys that they've brought back a handful of times, it's at this point, we're like, they've already done everything. It's kind of, let's move on.
Yeah. I think it's only a matter of time, maybe before they introduce Dario Cueto, his brother.
Oh, I'd go nuts.
Puts the mask back on him. That's Matata Cueto. What? I would love to see it. Also on the show, another great match, a second strong great match on the show for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria. Now listen, we were already praising this program, and I will say real quickly, Johnny said in the chat, Jeff Corn Cobb, that's probably, if Vince was still around, that's what they would fucking call him. And Fernando said also, Solo and Jeff Cobb are going to turn on Jacob and will be the top baby faces on SmackDown going forward. Jacob will be the top babyface. I could see that. And Fernando also said, hopefully they leave Jeff Cobb alone. No need to change his name. I also agree with that. But anyway, Lyra and Becky, we were already praising this program because they've put a lot of effort into this thing. Mic time. Like, their segments on Raw have been great. And I don't really think there was ever a question that the match would be good. We've said the match will be good, but the match was not good. The match was great. This match was excellent. I thought this might have been the best match in the entire show. They went in there and fucking killed it. Lyra has quietly been putting together, for as much of an afterthought of those women's mid-card titles were before Mania, she's put together a pretty solid run. Like, her matches with Ivy Nile, Dakota Kai, Raquel Rodriguez, Bayley before Mania was a great match. This was easily the best of the bunch. They got time. They had great chemistry, which we already knew they would because they worked together in NXT for that one match. And then Lyra won clean. And we all thought Becky would win. Becky Balea, brother. Didn't want to put over Lyra, but she did here. She did lose clean, albeit not decisively, but I thought this was executed perfectly. If Becky won, I would have had no issue with it because she was already, like, Lyra got the better of her going into the pay-per-view, but she let her win clean, and then Becky attacked her afterward, so the feud continues. I thought this was great. It was a great endorsement of Lyra. Becky looked great. I thought her promo on Raw was also really good. They gave Becky some time to talk on Raw, which I thought was great. Lyra comes back looking for revenge. This is awesome storytelling. I'm fucking digging this, and this is already better than almost anything else Becky has done in the last few years, and easily already the best thing that Lyra's done on the main roster. I don't want to say she's a made woman at this point, but she's well on her way. So I know you enjoyed this as much as I did, Mr. Marceau. What were your thoughts?
Oh, great match. Like you said, probably the match of the night for me. I thought these women worked great together. They had a great story going in. We thought Balea was going to, hey, it didn't work for her sister. We thought, hey, drop the leg, 1, 2, 3. But, I mean, great match, great chemistry. I mean, I was stunned when she got her with a quick roll-up. Hey, got her with a quick one, and then Becky just beat the shit out of her after, which was great. They should continue it going. Mm-hmm. The promo on Raw was great. I mean,
great stuff.
Just nice. The clap of the hands. I thought this was great overall, and they said I wouldn't go too far saying Lyra's made yet. Yeah. I mean, I think she's on her way being made, but definitely getting a win over Becky helps. And we didn't see her on Raw, which was good. I mean, selling the effects of getting killed by Becky. Becky had a great promo, and I thought overall it was great, and it's probably the best women's storyline they got going right now.
I agree, and it's probably the best women's storyline they've had going for a little while now. I mean, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan was also very good to start, but this is already off to a stronger start with the matches and the promos. This was very well done. And the best part about this match, there's more to come. There's more matches to come between these two. There's definitely a rematch coming. I think Becky could win the second one. Honestly, if Lyra just went on a clean sweep of just beating this woman, I wouldn't complain about that either. You could tell the story longer term that Becky can't beat Lyra because she already lost to her in NXT. So you could tell that story too. There's a lot of different directions they can go in with this, but I am optimistic, and I was very happy about what we got here. It was funny that you mentioned that Lyra was off Raw selling the attack from Becky. Lyra was off Raw selling that attack, but Pat McAfee was on the show. And he got beat up a lot worse, and we'll get to that match in a moment. But it's kind of like, okay, could you have at least taken Pat off the show for a fucking night or stretchered him off or something? I didn't hate it, but it was also like, really, like, you can have him sell it for a little bit longer. But regardless, Intercontinental Championship, we go from the women's IC title to the men's IC title. This was, to me, the quote-unquote weakest thing on the show, but by no means was it bad. I thought it was a good match. Dominic Mysterio beating Penta. Now, I did say when we spoke about this match last week, I picked Dominic, but I thought maybe they're running this back because they already did this match on the post-WrestleMania Raw, and on that show, Dominic won from interference from the returning JD McDonough, actually, on that show. Maybe they're running it back because Penta's going to win, and Finn Balor might attempt to interfere and cost him the win. No, it's the same match, and they did the same finish, except with El Grande Americano costing Penta the victory, which was fine, which set up Gable and Penta on Raw, and they had a great match, but not a big fan of the fact they had another interference finish, which speaks kind of to a larger issue in WWE with a lot of shenanigan finishes, ref bumps, distraction finishes. Like, Triple H is kind of doing a bit more of that on pay-per-view than he probably should. I thought the match was good. I just kind of questioned the finish a little bit. Not to say Penta should have won, but, like, I know they wanted to protect the guy, but I just don't love all the run-in interference finishes. To me, this kind of felt like something you would see on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think they're just playing the seeds for, obviously, the Lucha Bros reunion. I mean, obviously, yeah. Penta, I mean, even with the Judgment Day guys, he's outnumbered, and now you got Americano in there. So, like, I feel like that's where you – but, like, we also saw an interference in the first match. Obviously, we saw it here. We saw it in the main event. I mean, I get what you're saying. We're getting to the point now that, like, it's starting to get a little too much, especially on pay-per-view. I mean, not even like he really did anything, but also Cole was involved in the McAfee and Gunther match as well. Like, he didn't really cost anything, but, like, he was involved in there. Like, he almost helped Pat win. So, like, that's another match. So all the matches had some interference or some kind of shenanigans besides Lyra Becky, a.k.a. the best match of the night, which is funny because it didn't have any of that. But, yeah I agree. I think, especially with the DQ finishes, they're starting to kind of rely on that a little too much on Raw. So, I mean, they kind of need to tone that down. But I understand some of these, they do make sense. Yeah. They're furthering storylines. But on pay-per-view, I mean, we don't want every match to seem like there's like a screwy finish or there's some shenanigans going on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, I understand the mentality. Oh, you want to protect this guy. You want to protect this guy. You want to protect them in defeat by not letting them take a clean pinfall win or something. I get it. But, like, when it's with everyone on the roster, like, at this point, I would argue Penta can eat a clean loss, even from Dominic. People are like, oh, you lost to Dominic. What a loser. Dude, Dominic is fucking over right now, and he's the Intercontinental Champion. Also, can we just put this to rest, unless you agree with it, this notion that, oh, Penta is buried, he's cooled off. Penta's still super over, and he had a great match on Raw, and he won that too. I mean, I think this notion that just because he lost again on the pay-per-view means that he's dead and buried, when he can easily just bounce back, I think. And he kind of already did on Monday's Raw.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, like I said, every loss he's taken, there's been shenanigans or he hasn't lost clean. So, I mean, I have no issues with him. I mean, he's one of the people on Raw that shows entrance every time. I know we're probably going to talk about later. There's some people that don't show their entrance, and I don't think it's really helping them in the grand scheme of things. But, yeah, I mean, he's one of those people that they do show every time he comes out. He has the cool entrance. They show everything. I mean, he comes out, they show him off as he's a bigger star than most.
Yeah, exactly. I think the presentation in Penta has been perfectly fine. It's actually been excellent, so I really don't have any complaints there, and I think he'll be Totally fine. I don't really think there's any need for people to worry about Penta going forward. Trust me. Maria did say Lyra having Becky's number is a better story. I agree. I think it's better. If Becky had her number, that would have been fine, but you kind of expect that. That's what I expected with Lyra losing to Becky and then Becky's champion and Lyra has to chase. That would have been cool, but instead they're having Becky chase, actually, which is kind of refreshing to see, like, the seasoned vet having to chase the rookie who she can't beat. So I like that story, too.
Yeah, but I think you can also tell that if Becky does beat her, like, she needs to cheat to win.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can run that, like, like, the only time you can beat me, like, I beat you twice. The only time you beat me, you cheated to win. And then, like, so then Lyra can beat her again. And, like, yeah.
And also, just as a reminder, I should say this. Cheating to win, to me, is fine. Like, it's when we get the constant interference. Like, that's what bothers me more. Like, when it's excessive. When it makes sense, I get it, but they just do it so much. It's like, okay, maybe we should tone that down, especially on fucking, on pay-per-view. But, like, the cheating to win, if you're, like, raking the eyes or Becky's whole, like, I get that. If you're a heel.
Like, Becky almost did it in the match. Like, she held the rope at one point, the ref caught her, but, like, maybe she rolls her up and grabs the rope, and, like I said, she wins. Like, you gotta hold her. Like you said, basically cheat to beat, man.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's not, like, clean, obviously. But, like, still, I'd rather take that over, like, the interference bullshit and whatever. That's totally fine. Daniel said about Penta, hit that Penta walk every time I'm grocery shopping. LOL, smooth operator. Yeah, I've seen those memes. That Penta walk, I mean, he's been doing that since Lucha Underground. Like, people are catching on to it now because they're seeing him in WWE. But, like, I can't even do it. I would fucking...
Don't even try to do it.
I would break my ankles or something. But when it wouldn't come out nearly as cool as when Penta does it. But he's been doing that since Lucha. The guy's had swagger since the Temple days. Zero, miedo. And when he used to say, Vampiro, I am your master. Yeah, that's a deep cut for those Lucha Temple fans 10 years ago. Anyway, honestly, like, and this might be a hot take. I'll throw it to you first with your opinion on this. Maybe my favorite match of the night, Gunther and Pat McAfee. I actually really enjoyed this, but before I go any further, I do want to throw it to you. Want to hear your thoughts on this match and how you thought it went down at Backlash.
I thought it was good. I wouldn't go as far as you with my favorite match of the night. Mm-hmm. I feel like it went a little too long for my liking. Like, he did play with his food, which we said was going to happen. Like, play with his food a little bit. Pat get a couple shines. But then, like, Cole was getting involved. And, like, it kind of dragged a little bit at that point. Like, he's, like, trying to hold his leg and, like, help Pat win. Like, he was a little too much for my liking. Like, he was, like, screaming, getting involved. Like, dude, just sit down and shut up. And, like, I'd be pissed. I was the people sitting behind him. He stood the whole match. Like, dude, sit down. Like, there was too much Cole involved. I feel like that was my biggest takeaway. Like, I thought it was Gunther won. Didn't love the whole shaking the hands thing after, too. It's not like you, like, killed him. Like, I don't know. I didn't love the match. I thought it was good. Like, it was done what we thought should have happened, but went a little too long, and I feel like the aftermath was a little too corny. Like I said, the next day he comes out like he was fine. Like, I don't know, Pat's going to be here, and instantly his music hits, and he comes running out like a jackass like he normally does. Like, 15 minutes, could have shaved 5 minutes off it, didn't have to do the Cole stuff. Like I said, it was what needed to happen, but it went a little too long, and I don't need to see Cole all over my TV.
I love this match, but every criticism that you just made was 1,000% valid. I think it's honestly a more of personal preference, because you know what this reminded me of? It's not remotely the same thing, so don't get me wrong. But, like, I do not like the Attitude Era stuff. I do not like watching those shows. But there is one match there's a bunch of matches from the Attitude Era I enjoy, but they're riddled with bullshit and interference and just stupid shit, okay? But one match that I think of, we can't say his name, but Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon from WrestleMania 17.
Dude, that's totally different.
Well, no. In the sense that like Mick Foley's the referee, Mick Foley's getting involved, Trish Stratus is getting involved. You got
Linda.
Linda standing out of the chair.
Yeah, but the whole story was about that. That's the thing. Like, the story was like, there was a story there. Like, I don't know. I just don't like Cole. Maybe I just don't like Cole, but I'm just like, get out of here.
I mean, Fernando said I agree. The Cole stuff was too much. Listen, again, I'm not for anyone. First of all, you liked it. You thought it was good. There were people that did not like this. And again, your valid is completely. You're valid. Your opinion is completely valid. Honestly, I get it. I totally get it. I think it's the exact same thing when you reverse the roles and there's people on the AEW side that say, oh, I love this match, and it's really just a glorified spot fest. I mean, that can be fun once in a while, too. I think it really just comes down to preference. I like sometimes when done sparingly, and they did it in the main event too, I like the stupid bullshit. I like the dumb bullshit where Michael Cole's getting involved, the crowd's going crazy. Like, people had their issues with it, and that's totally fine. But that crowd sure as fuck enjoyed it. They were going nuts. They were enjoying every second of it. And Michael Cole, I mean, just as a reminder, he was the one bullied when this storyline kind of first started coming out of WrestleMania. He was roughed up by Gunther, so it kind of makes sense as to why he would want revenge. And the crowd ate up every minute of it. Pat McAfee looked super impressive while on offense. I do agree with Mr. Marceau, though. I do think that the, Pat McAfee stretch of offense probably lasted a little bit too long. I mean, the guy's not an active performer. He hasn't had a regular match in a few years. Gunther is a former fucking world heavyweight champion. He just dropped the belt 3 weeks ago to Jey Uso. Like, it was unbelievable enough that he would lose to Jey Uso of all people, but they told that story and it made sense and it's fine, although he might lose to Jey Uso twice now, but we'll get to that later. I just think with the idea of Pat McAfee being in there as long as he was, to me, I was okay with it because it was like some sports entertainment dumb shit. And, you can argue that Gunther not made him look weak, but he really shouldn't be going toe-to-toe with a commentator that's a goof, no less. I completely understand that. I totally understand that. But the action was enjoyable enough where it didn't really bother me. And Gunther didn't lose anything from it either. Obviously, he'll be totally fine. And also, like you said, the handshake stuff, I could have done without too. I mean, listen, I know it's Gunther's gimmick because he's done it before. He did it to Cody Rhodes. I feel like he may have shaken someone else's hand in the past as well. But, let's say it was fucking Randy Orton. I think he did it with Randy Orton. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Pat McAfee. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So I could have done without that too. The only defense that I have of that is that, maybe they did that because they wanted to put a button on the feud, a period on that program and be like, all right, it's over. So this is why he's not going to attack him anymore because he earned his respect. I guess that's maybe why they did it. But I think sometimes you need some sports entertainment bullshit. Again, we got it in the main event, so maybe it's a little too much of it. I understand that. But I enjoyed it. For a 14-minute match, yes, it was realistically, it was ridiculous, dude. I'm not gonna disagree with you. I'm just saying I liked it. I'm not gonna say it was a smart idea.
No, I like I said, I liked the match itself. I feel like it was what it needed to be, but it went too long. Cole needs to go. Like, don't get involved. You're being too much. It was too much, like you said, it was too much like sports entertainment. Like, it felt forced that he was like so into it. Like, get out of here.
Well, I mean, he was bullied by Gunther after Mania, to be fair.
Like a hot second.
Okay. Well, listen, I know the crowd liked it. I liked it. Not saying that if you didn't like it, that you're not a wrestling fan. I will say that. There's people that will say dumb shit like that. That's totally fine. I mean, even Johnny said, or I think it was Daniel. Daniel said, I wanted to see Gunther treat Pat like he treated Big Jim Uso, but oh well. I think a lot of people did. Like, people thought like he would beat him in 5 minutes. That wouldn't have been enjoyable. Like, he had to play with his food. Like, exactly what we said would happen did happen, and I'm glad that did happen. It's just that they stretched it out for a little too long for 14 minutes. And I get that Gunther was, playing with him for a little while. Yeah, Fernando mentioned, don't forget Vince versus Stephanie. Yeah, I know. I remember that match, too. Johnny, are we serious? Okay, I'm glad he wasn't serious. I wasn't sure there for a second. He said, I think Pat can win the world title this year. And then he also said SummerSlam, Gunther versus David Arquette. That might be next up on the list if he's working with celebrities. But yeah, I think Gunther will be fine coming out of this, but I also do not blame people for not liking it because Pat he's not an active competitor. He's a goofy commentator, but he's also impressive though, to be fair. Like, the guy is actually, for a guy that has not wrestled really ever, but like only has wrestled, occasional matches, and he hasn't done so in a few years, he looked pretty fucking good.
I think it was easily his weakest match he's ever had.
Really? You think so?
He didn't really do that much. I
mean, what he did do, he didn't need to because he was working from underneath. And I thought he almost had Gunther when Michael Cole pulled his feet. Obviously, would I have been irate if Pat McAfee won? Of course. I'm not going to sit here and say Pat McAfee should have won. But knowing he lost.
If McAfee won when Cole held his leg, I wouldn't have watched the main event.
That would have been stupid. But because they executed the way that it did, I didn't have an issue with it. Maria said the Attitude Era had a decent amount of classic matches featuring The Rock versus Stone Cold feud and Triple H versus Mick Foley feud and Kane versus Taker story. It was one of the best in wrestling. Yeah, I mean that was all, but that's not Gunther and Pat McAfee. That's different. You know, all those matches are classics, but Gunther is great, but Pat McAfee is not. You know, Kane or The Undertaker or Foley or Rock or whatever. So I know what you're saying now. I like the bullshit sometimes. And guess what? We got some more bullshit in the main event. John Cena and Randy Orton, undisputed WWE Championship. And we're going to have two different opinions of this one. Another match I loved. Love this match. Hot take. My seat is burning right now because my ass is on fire. It's a hot take, okay? Fernando said Pat McAfee versus Stephen A. Smith versus Joe Rogan at Mania. Hey, it's coming. They see this go well, and they see it coming. But as far as the main event, I enjoyed this match. Because if it was just a standard singles match, and they just did a usual match, we saw that in the beginning of this match. It was kind of boring. It was kind of like, eh. And they're really rallying behind Randy because they were in St. Louis. He's the hometown guy. Good shit. But they needed the bullshit. Now, can you say, was there too much of it? Yes, there was. Mr. Marceau nodding his head. I agree. There was a lot of finishers, 3 ref bumps. I mean, that shit was ridiculous. But listen, I don't know. Maybe it was just because they had my coffee, buzz ice cream when I was watching this match, and I enjoyed it because of that. It's the GOAT Ben & Jerry's ice cream, by the way. You can't argue with me on that. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was great. I think it was what it needed to be, considering Cena and Orton are older now. Cena is fucking washed in the ring. We saw that at WrestleMania. They just went all in with the bullshit here, and I thought it worked. And they can't do this with every John Cena main event. But, like, I think with John Cena facing, like, a CM Punk, I think CM Punk, even though he's also older, he's probably older than Orton. He definitely is. I think Punk can get a better match out of Cena in the ring than Orton could, because they've never had great chemistry. The Orton-Cena matches have never, for the most part, been great. So, like, I think it needed the bullshit. But I know you disagree. So give me your thoughts on this match. Cena and Orton.
No, it's not even that I disagree. I just think with this, same as the last match, it was just too much.
Okay.
Too many finishers, way too many ref bumps. The R-Truth shit, I know it's probably going to set up something with him and Cena.
Forgot about that, yeah.
Random. And then, like, Cena wins, like, honestly, couldn't even tell you a win. I think maybe hit him with the belt, and the ref, like, slowly rolls in and get a 3 count. It's just another match. Like, I expected the bullshit. It wasn't as bad as Mania, obviously, but it just was, like, too much. Like, I expect to get it, but when you go overboard and it's to the point, I'm like, come on, just, like, end it at this point. Like, the ref bumps were ridiculous. The amount of finishes they hit was ridiculous. Like, honestly, even if I want to be even more nitpicking, I feel like Lyra kicked out of like 3 fucking manhandle slams. Like, I mean, I like Lyra and all, but Jesus Christ. I mean, you know what? They hit her with their finish 3 times to kick out. I mean, it makes her finish look terrible. So I liked the match. It was better. It was kind of what I anticipated it was going to be. But the fucking ref bumps was ridiculous. It lasted it was 27 minutes and 50 seconds. Probably lasted 7 minutes and 50 seconds too long. Okay. It was what I thought it would be, but it was just too much of the extra shit.
I get it. I totally understand that. I mean, I like the extra shit, and I will say, as far as the R-Truth goes, the R-Truth factor of it goes, it did make sense because he was interacting with them on SmackDown going into the pay-per-view. He interacted with Cena, and the next week he interacted with Orton. And I mean, we know John Cena, like, R-Truth is a John Cena fanboy, like, we know that. But they also planted the seeds going into the pay-per-view. And then at the post-show press conference, where Cena, again, did not answer questions, R-Truth came out, and he got put through a table. So they're definitely doing the match at Saturday night's main event. I think that was already rumored even before Backlash, and we obviously don't have confirmation until SmackDown on Friday, but the show's fucking next weekend, so I'm sure they will do the match at that show. But yeah, no, I think, I think this was fine. I think they need to get into a habit of, of doing this for every John Cena pay-per-view main event. If him and R-Truth has 1,000, if R-Truth is kicking out of 6 AAs next weekend, then we will have a problem. But, I mean, we could say, I know you said you liked the match. Was this not a far improvement over him and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? I don't even know if that's a question.
Yeah, I thought it was a better match, yes.
Yeah, much better match. But listen, they can't do what this was, although I thought it was stupid fun, like, this was just fucking ridiculous. It made a lot of it made no sense. I was like, oh, AA through this, and like, whatever, it was stupid. The refs look like incompetent, they're all getting knocked out and shit, I get it. This was a one and done. You can't do this if they do this with him and Punk, if they do this with him and Cody, then we're going to have problems. He will indeed ruin wrestling. If that's the case here, if this is a consistent thing, it can't be. They have to move on and do actual matches. But I just don't know if Cena's capable of that at this stage of his career. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the problem. Is like people are like, "Oh, put the belt on him." Like, this is what you're gonna get. Like,
Well, I mean, he did have to win the belt as a heel. He did have to win it. To be fair, I did say before he turned heel, I was like, I don't really need to see John Cena as champion because I don't think the matches will be good. This is kind of the problem with it. But the heel turn is also not fully fleshed out. He was out there on SmackDown last week calling, with the goofy cartoonish voice, blah, blah, like it's just terrible.
Dude, the heel turn will go down as one of the worst of all time. I'm feeling it already.
Is there a chance that it can be redeemed?
I don't think so. His in-ring stuff's so bad, I don't think he can.
Not even with the promos?
The promos are horrific.
Well, if they can redeem the promos, I'm saying.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, if Punk can't get good promos out of him, I think he's in trouble.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a good litmus test. Well, I guess we'll find out in due time when they inevitably feud over that WWE Championship. Yeah, Johnny said, that Cena said, I know you can't see me, but you can hear me. Cut my damn mic or cut the damn music. I thought that was well done. The post-match thing kind of left me thinking, okay, is someone coming out to confront him? And then they just ended the show. I was okay with that because they kind of want you to think sometimes that someone's coming out, but they don't actually have to deliver on it. And I guess they said I didn't watch like the post show, but I guess when Cena was leaving, they were chanting "Thank you, Cena." The crowd was, and then he kind of got like emotional a little bit. Do you think they're already planting the seeds for the inevitable redemption arc, or was that just a coincidence? I feel like it's the latter, but that's just me.
I think it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he just turned heel 2 months ago. I mean, do we really need to be teasing a babyface turn already? I mean, it's going to happen, but it's May, and you don't have to turn him again until SummerSlam, September, whatever it is. Maria said, agree 100. Cena versus Randy was never good. There has been a lot of revisionist history between the two. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think a lot of people romanticize the rivalry between Cena and Orton, and they had some good segments and matches over the years, but a lot of the matches blended together, and they weren't great. Johnny said WWE should have hit a finisher match. If you hit your finisher, you win. I mean, the match would be over in 2 minutes because they hit their finisher pretty much immediately in this shit nowadays. Daniel said, Truth being a huge Cena fan is funny considering the one-sided beef they had when Truth was still in TNA. LOL. I am not aware of that. You have to fill me in on that. Fernando said, Cody is the only young talent. I mean, young in quotation marks.
He's 40 years old.
Yeah. Not exactly young, but I know what you mean. He's the only young talent Cena has faced. Randy, Truth, and it looks like Punk are all next and are past their prime. I want to see Cena have fresh matches with fresh challengers. I agree. I do too. I think you can mix them in. I don't know if we're talking about a Carmelo Hayes or a Braun Breaker, people like that. I agree. I think the Orton match was perfect because they had to do that at Backlash in Orton's hometown. That was perfect. But beyond that, yes, Truth isn't exactly an up-and-coming, like, young blue chipper. Like, he's fucking 50. I mean, I agree. It's a match that makes sense, so I'm not upset at it. But they got to be careful during this John Cena farewell tour. Daniel said, Cena is washed in the ring in a way I can't believe. Like, how is he this washed in the ring when he was never based on athleticism? Shake my head. I mean, maybe it's because he wasn't active full time. I mean, I don't know. Punk didn't wrestle for a fucking decade and he didn't have these, ring rust issues. I know Punk was always better than Cena. But my God, I mean, I don't know. It's very strange. Yeah, even Daniel said, I swear he's phoning it in. And he also said he saw what happened with The Rock when he got injured and cost the studio millions of dollars, and he's not trying to do that. Yeah, it does feel like a lot of his matches are phoning it in. He just doesn't want to put in the effort to kind of like do shit that is different. The days of like the John Cena US Open, John Cena are over. That was 10 years ago. We're not getting back to that. And Millennial Noob said that match between Cena and Orton was good. The RKO on management was hilarious. Yeah, like the 6 RKO. That was another thing we didn't mention. RKO to Nick Aldis, RKO to Gregory Helms, RKO to Daivari, and this guy and that guy. Like,
Ken Doane,
Kenny Dykstra, baby. No RKO to Jason Jordan. Unfortunately, he's got a neck made of fucking paper, I guess. But that was fun for what it was. On the pay-per-view subject, I do want to bring this up. My main question of the show as we head into the final stretch here. Is WWE doing too many shows, Mr. Marceau? Are they favoring quantity over quality? And I mention that because, just to give you a quick... What'd you say?
No need to hit your desk.
I know. I hit my desk out of anger. I was so fucking pissed. So we had Backlash 3 weeks after WrestleMania. All right. But next Saturday, we already have the next installment of Saturday Night's Main Event, which is fine because we haven't had one since January. All right, cool. But then the next day, I mean, if we're counting NXT shows as well, which we don't really need to because it's developmental, but Saturday Night's Main Event coming up next Saturday, May 24th. NXT Battleground is the very next day, also in Tampa on the 25th. Then 2 weeks after that, you have Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide, another WWE show that I think they're going to have main roster involvement in, not just NXT. It's not just an NXT show. But they have Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide on the same day 2 weeks later on June 7th. Night of Champions, which they just announced over the weekend, is 3 weeks after that in Saudi Arabia. Their last Saudi Arabia show for the year before they go there for the Rumble next year. And that's on June 28th. And then Evolution, which is not confirmed, is being rumored for Atlanta on July 13th, which is 2 weeks after that. And then another Saturday Night's Main Event the day before that on July 12th. That's a lot of fucking shows. That's a lot of shows in the span of like 2 months. Are they favoring quantity over quality? Yes, I know, obviously, if you don't like it, don't watch it. I agree with that. But in addition to that, Mr. Marceau, give me your thoughts.
I have to get back to you in 4 months to let you know.
As far as, like, was it worth it?
You're saying quantity over quality.
Yes.
I mean, we've had one show.
Yeah, and Backlash was good.
Backlash, which I would say was a good show. I mean, you could have 20 shows every day if they're all good. I mean, really depends on what the show is. I mean, in 2 months, I can let you know if they have too much quality, if they're doing more quantity over quality. I mean, we'll see. I think most of these shows will be pretty good. So, I mean, to me, I would say it all depends on the outcome here. But, I mean, I think also with them running less house shows, they're just these shows that are, I guess some of them could be like glorified house shows. I mean, that's what Saturday Night Main Event really is. I mean, you're going to air these on TV. I mean, I think Backlash was good. I think Saturday Night's Main Event will be pretty decent. I mean, depending on how the shows are, I guess that's how you would weight it. But, I mean,
true.
It's a lot going on. I agree on that. I mean, it's a lot of wrestling shows, but, I mean, if they're all decent to good, yeah. I wouldn't have an issue.
I think they could end up all being solid, but I guess my bigger problem with it is that it almost feels like they're spreading themselves too thin, where the builds have to be like quick. 2 weeks is not enough. 3 weeks is even kind of stretching it, but we've gotten that before in years past. It's not a new thing. But like 2 weeks for a pay-per-view build, if they're doing them concurrently, or like I know they're kicking off the Money in the Bank qualifying matches this week on SmackDown. So it's not like they're waiting to build the Money in the Bank until after Saturday Night's Main Event. That would just be fucking stupid. They're not doing that. But, you know, they already put together matches for Saturday Night's Main Event coming up in a few weeks. It's next Saturday. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Logan Paul and Jey Uso, they've already confirmed, is on that show. Probably John Cena and R-Truth for the WWE Championship. Not exactly a barn burner, but it's a match that makes sense. And they also announced Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker in tag team action for that show next week. Those are three, in my opinion, big matches, worthy matches. But I do feel like the build for some of these shows could suffer because there's not enough time to build to them. And that's kind of the problem, to the point where they just don't feel special. Like, I'm a mark. I will always look forward to these shows. I look forward to Backlash. I love Backlash. Backlash has always been a great show. For the last 20 years, it's always been a great show. But a lot of people going into Backlash, I noticed, doesn't feel like a pay-per-view day, doesn't feel like a pay-per-view weekend. A lot of matches on this card I don't give a fuck about. You know, is that a fan issue? Is it a company issue? Or is it a bit of combination of both?
I mean, I guess realistic at the end of the day, if you're not interested, it's kind of a you thing, I think, at the end of the day, right? I mean, I thought on paper it was a solid show. I mean, like you said, we're both kind of marks, but I thought Backlash on paper, I mean, each match pretty much had something I was looking forward to. And it's some kind of, this is someone new, this is someone old, this is something intriguing. They've had a good story coming in. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like you said, I think obviously with the quick builds, but like the Jey Uso, Logan Paul thing, like they could have done that at Backlash. I would have said that would have been rushing it if they did it at Backlash. I
agree with that.
And we're getting it at Saturday Night's Main Event. And like I said, it just realistically depends. Like some stuff they focus more on Raw and it's not been on the pay-per-views, or they've kind of stretched it out a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think realistically it is a lot. I do agree it's a lot, but for me who likes
I like the shows. Yeah.
For me who likes the content, I think for me I like it. Like it gives me something to watch. So no issue on that front. But like I said, I guess depending on, we'll see in July if we're like, holy shit, that was a lot. And nothing really got accomplished.
Yeah, I guess my other concern is they run the risk of more shows having safe booking. I mean, that was my biggest issue, although I enjoyed them, specifically the first installment of. But since they brought back Saturday Night's Main Event, which I was a big proponent of them bringing it back, it's kind of safe booking. Like, there's nothing must see. We'll watch the show next week, and we can talk about it in 2 weeks after we watch it. But we know Truth is not beating Cena. We know Logan Paul's probably not beating Jey Uso. They're doing top 2 title matches, they're doing 2 world title matches on the same show, which is what they did back in December, which is cool. But again, if the titles never change hands on these shows, it just kind of sends the message, to me, it sends the message to viewers that these shows are not important. Like, they're fun. They're basically televised house shows. Like, I don't want them to get into a spot where our focus is on Money in the Bank, but because we have to fulfill this contractual like, they're obligated to do shows. It almost feels like they're filling out these cards. These matches make sense. Again, they're not random. I will say that. Your excitement for Truth versus Cena might vary, and I understand that. But, I mean, it almost feels like they're filling out these shows because they have to, and then nothing of overly importance will happen on them. So as soon as they're over, you're not going to really be missing much. I don't want them to get into that territory.
No, I agree. I mean, I think there really hasn't been too much must-see on it. Like I said, kind of going back to my first point, like, I'm just more of a content obtainer. So, like, even though it's not going to be amazing, it's something I will watch and something but no, I think I've said it from the beginning. I think at least the matches do make sense. The outcomes really haven't been in doubt so far. But maybe like the next Becky and Lyra, they can do it at a Saturday Night's Main Event, which we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they keep going on Lyra, maybe Becky wins. So I do think they do need to add some kind of either put, like they said, they have the stars. I don't think they've really had lacked that, but like more unpredictability would definitely help.
Yeah, and I just think, and I understand some things are out of their control, but I guess my bigger point is as well that I would wish they would better pace these shows. Not the shows themselves, because I saw what Johnny said. At least there were only 4 or 5 matches on the PLEs. I'm someone, I honestly don't care. Like someone, I don't know if it was someone that we were watching the show with or someone online. Like there was only 4 or 5 matches. I like the 4 or 5 matches. I prefer the 4 or 5
matches. The show on Saturday night was perfect.
It's perfect. 2 hours and 50 minutes. Now, I know they did that because there was a UFC pay-per-view right on after that, and they didn't want to, run opposite of their own fucking company, like, because it's all TKO. I get that. But still, it started at 7. It was over by, like, 9:45. I like the 4. I mean, not 4. 4 is kind of ridiculous, but, like, 5 matches on a PLE, I think is perfect. I think that's perfect. I've always enjoyed that. The immense amount of commercials that they shove in there, not a big fan of that. But, like, the less is more approach I've always appreciated. I think Triple H does too. But if they can better pace out the shows, like space them out, like there was fucking 8 weeks, but close to it, between Chamber and Mania. And a lot of those Raw and SmackDowns in between were not overly exciting. And now the international tour had partially to do with that. But like there was 8 weeks of nothing. And now it's like every 2 weeks there's something where I feel like they could just better pace them out, space them out to where it would feel a little bit more special, or these shows would feel more important if they weren't right, like back to back to back, if that makes sense.
I do get it, but I do think between Elimination Chamber and Mania, like Mania is already a set thing, so there's only so much you can do in between that and Mania. So realistically, the build shouldn't be as long as it is because there's only so much they can do. Like the Mania card's already set. They're not gonna like last minute be like, oh, we're gonna put the title on so and so. Like in this time frame, there's more like even with SummerSlam. Like I feel like Mania, a lot of things build to Mania.
Yeah.
After that, there's more leeway to like actually like change things up or try something new. Mania is so set that like people always be like the build realistically should be like a month. Like of actually like this last like from Chamber to Mania should be like a month. Anything longer, like you said, it kind of gets to the point like nothing really is happening because we're gearing towards that. Like no one's going to change titles realistically because we already know what's happening. So I think that's like you said with this time frame of a lot of things happening. It's like a time frame that there's a lot of uncertainty. Like we don't really know what's happening at SummerSlam. Like I couldn't even tell you what's happening at SummerSlam because there's so much other shit going on over here.
Yeah.
Like there might be some things that we think of, but there's so much going on now that we really don't know like what's going to happen in 2 months.
Yeah. I will say for all my, it's not really complaints, it's more of a criticism. But of all my criticisms, I will say one thing that they are doing right, I assume, reportedly, SmackDown's going back to 2 hours. I can't deal with the 3 hours. SmackDown at 3 hours is just too fucking much. That is just, that's a deal breaker for me. And reportedly, they're going back to 2 hours extremely soon, probably as early as early July. So that is something to look forward to. The other shows, to go back to what you said originally, if the shows are good, then I won't have much of a complaint. It's just more of like there's a lot more criticism going WWE's way as far as like, fan frustration, the Triple H honeymoon phase being over. Maybe don't do as many shows, but I know they're contractually obligated now to do 4 Saturday Night's Main Event shows. And if they can make them entertaining, then great. But my enjoyment level of these shows might vary than, Joe Schmo down the street who wants to see big title changes. That's just not going to happen. No. But I mean, at the very least, John Cena's wrestling at this next one. You may not give a fuck about John Cena and R-Truth, but it is a story they've told. I will give them that. That is a story they've told, and we'll see how it plays out. So we'll talk about Saturday Night's Main Event next week here on the show. But this actually has nothing to do with any of the PLEs. I do want to mention this real quickly before I get to your thoughts on Raw from Monday as we wind down here. But this is not happening in any of the shows. Gunther announced on Monday's Raw this past week, he's actually challenging the winner of Jay and Logan Paul from next weekend on the June 9th Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship. That I'm not a fan of because Gunther would then have to lose to Jey Uso again. And he should not. I think they should have moved on after Mania. I don't think Gunther loses much, but you just gave him a win over Pat McAfee. Just move on. Start building him up for something else. Now I think this might be leading to a potential Goldberg appearance. Yeah, I mean I feel like you could do that without having Gunther lose to Jey Uso again. Now, it does make sense for him to want the World Heavyweight title, because why the fuck would he be on Raw and then not want the championship back? I get it. But, I don't know. Other people are thinking maybe this has to do with the Money in the Bank cash-in, because it's the Raw after Money in the Bank. People are thinking, why are they doing it on that show? Why are they not doing it at the pay-per-view? They're doing it on Raw. I mean, you got to make the TVs important, too. Fucking Rollins and Jey Uso happened on Raw 2 weeks ago, and that was a great match, or a week ago. Your thoughts on this? Where do you think they're going with this? Because I'm kind of skeptical. I think it's a Goldberg thing, but what do you think?
I think it's a Goldberg thing. I mean, it could be Money in the Bank, but I feel like realistically, the next person taking the belt off Jay is going to be Seth. I don't think Seth's winning Money in the Bank, nor should he. I mean, he shouldn't even be in the match. I mean, he's already a made man at this point. He doesn't need to be in the match. Maybe Breaker's in the match, but Seth doesn't have to be in the match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I think realistically it's setting up Goldberg and Gunther at Crown Jewel, or Night of Champions, or whatever the fuck.
Okay, not even SummerSlam. Okay. I mean, SummerSlam is 2 months after that, so do you think they would wait 2 months or just blow it off in 3 weeks? Which I'm fine with. I'm just asking.
Blow it off in Saudi. Just blow it off in Saudi.
Okay. Give Goldberg that Saudi paycheck and then move on?
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think they need to stretch it out for 2 months. I don't know what that feud would even look like if Goldberg doesn't show up. But, I think that's enough time to build it up as his last. I mean, actually, maybe not, though. Because think about it. They only would have 2 Raws after. I think they would save it for SummerSlam. Because, if you set it up with Goldberg coming back on that June 9th Raw, you then have 2 Raws to announce it and build it up before Night of Champions. I think they're going to wait until SummerSlam. And it's 2 nights. I mean, it gives you another attraction for that show, right?
Another attraction, though. No one cares.
I mean, you may not care, and I'm not saying I care all that much, but I mean, there are people that give a fuck about Goldberg at this point that would pop for it.
I guess.
I'm not saying it's a headline night 1. Well, Goldberg, Gunther, SummerSlam, night 1, night 2, not main event, but I could see. I think that's more. I was thinking the Saudi show thing too, but now that I say it out loud, I don't think it's enough time.
I mean, it is Night of Champions, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense to have a non-title match there, because I don't think Gunther would be champion.
Yeah.
So, I guess I could be night 1, mid-card, people go crazy, I guess. I don't know, I could care less. But.
And then Goldberg wins his retirement match, and we all go home.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother you that Gunther might lose to Jey Uso again? I just don't feel like that's necessary.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay. All right. I don't like that the Yeet Man is going to be pinning him for a second straight time, but he won't lose much from him.
He didn't pin him last time.
He submitted him, which is actually worse.
There you go. So he pins him now, and then you have nothing. He didn't.
At least it would be off a distraction this time. It wouldn't be clean again. But it does help Jay. I mean, it's another win over Gunther.
Exactly. See, you're not looking at the big picture. You're worrying about Gunther losing his 3rd match of all time when Jay could really use another big win.
Okay, he doesn't need to beat Gunther again, to be fair.
You
think he does? Okay. And Jey Uso's doing perfectly fine. He will have beaten, he didn't beat Seth, but he had a world title match with Seth. He will have beaten Logan Paul. Unless Logan Paul wins the world title and we get Logan Paul and Gunther on Raw. No chance of that happening, you think?
No chance.
No chance, he says. Let me just run through these real quick before we get to some one last thing from Raw on Monday. Fernando said, I do think WWE has way too many shows, but oversaturation has always been part of the WWE playbook. Maria said the build for Backlash sucked, even though it was a solid PLE. Yeah, the build was fine, but it was a very good show, I thought. Summer's going to be chaotic for WWE, Noob said. Daniel said, are they going to add more shows for Cena? I think so. He's already announced for like a bunch of Raws and SmackDowns. And I also think he's advertised for, obviously, Saturday night's main event. He's advertised for Money in the Bank. Obviously, SummerSlam. He's not going to be on Evolution unless he puts on a dress. So, like, you know, he's on a number of shows where it makes sense. You're not going to add him to every Raw and SmackDown because that means less dates for him at the end of the year because he does have a finite amount of dates left. You're not going to waste that on a random Sheboygan Raw when there's really no use for it. So, yeah, they'll add more dates later on, but for right now, I think he's fine. And yeah, Daniel also said, seems low for what seems like he'll be around for the rest of the year, or at least I think. He will be around closer to the end of the year. But even now, I mean, his appearances are spaced out like a week or two apart, so I think it's fine. Johnny said, Double or Nothing might have 9 or 10 matches. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing out of the ordinary for AEW. Richie joining us saying, what's going on? Kings and Queens, happy Thursday. Richie, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining. Maria said, the honeymoon is coming to an end. The honeymoon's been over for a while, Maria, as far as the Triple H honeymoon phase. That's been over for a bit. Johnny said, is June 9th Gunther's birthday? I don't think so. I mean, it might be. He's going to lose the world title match on his birthday.
Happy birthday, getting pinned by Jay.
Happy birthday, Gunther. Richie said Goldberg needs to stay home. Is that RJ's burner? Because I think he was thinking the same thing. Gunther versus Jay again is very underwhelming, Maria says. I mean, it makes sense. I'm just not a fan of it. You did ask, not you, but I called them you. I forgot how to pronounce their name. But they asked RJ a question, saying, RJ, do you think with Gunther, they're losing some of the... What is that word? I'm not even going to pronounce that, you. I don't know what that means. Some of the something that they had with the IC title. The bouncy Suska. I don't know what that means. You see what I'm looking at? I don't know what that word means. But do you think...
I did not see what you're looking at. I don't know.
Okay, well, he said, do you think Gunther, they're losing some of the... Maybe
Mystique. I don't know.
Yeah, Mystique. Let's say that's what he's saying.
I mean, I would say like maybe a little bit, but I feel like at this point he's like a made heel at this point. I mean, his shtick in general, like I would say leans towards more of the boring side. I mean, I think people don't really love his, like, it's not like he has like an amazing moveset or flashy or anything. It's kind of your typical territory heel. Like, kind of wins, he dominates, he makes people pass out. Like I said, it's not the most exciting of all time. So I think that's probably like the fan fatigue on him right now is like his matches are all kind of the same. He does the chop, puts you to sleep. It's kind of, like I said, I would say leans on the boring side. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the fan fatigue on him is that like he's also pretty much been in a title picture since he's been called main roster. He was the IC champion forever.
Yeah.
Then he won the main title, and then he was that for a year, and now he's still kind of floating around. So, I mean, I don't mind it, but I can see people's like fatigue of his character just because, like I said, it's kind of like a territory heel.
Yeah.
Which back in the day, he'd go to a different territory, revamp himself.
Yeah.
Now he's just still here, and we just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's also like, what more can you do with him, but like he's in a way peaked. I mean, he was the world champion, so he can't continue to be built up. Like, he was IC champion, which was great, but then we knew after that he's going to win King of the Ring probably, and then the world title. But he's lost all that now, so, like, it's kind of a question of where you go from here. The Goldberg thing is fine. The Pat McAfee thing was fun. Then we'll see where they go from there. I think he'll ultimately be fine, though. He's talented enough to make whatever he's involved in work. Fernando said, we have seen Jay versus Gunther for a year. You got to be kidding me. Mania should have been the exclamation point, I think is what he means, to this feud. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't need to see it again, but I get why they were doing it. You're going to see Jay versus Gunther and Rhea versus EO for the rest of our lives, Maria said. Richie said, 1 like on the stream equals 1 less Jay and Gunther match. A lot of people don't want to see this Jay and Gunther match again, but I guess we're just going to have to deal with it because that's what's happening. And then Daniel said, people complaining about the Samoans on top of the card as if y'all wouldn't also book Roman, Jacob, someone else over as Jay at the top of the card, LOL. I mean, that's another thing, too. Jay being world champion, I have no issue with it at all. Don't need to see him against Gunther again. But Jay being the world champion, dude, the guy's over as fuck. People still have issues with this. I saw people I mean, again, if you don't like it, that's fine. But I saw people shitting on the Saturday night card for next week. Oh, they're giving us John Cena versus R-Truth, which, again, is kind of whatever. I get that. But, like, Jay and Logan Paul makes perfect sense. And it's a match where Logan Paul, people hate him. Jay is so over. And they're probably going to have a good match. I mean, I really don't see the issue with that. But I don't know. Who the fuck am I to say? I just hit my desk again because I'm so angry, I guess.
You want to keep the belt on Gunther, and he'll make someone pass out in 20 minutes and slap his chest, and I guess that's good enough. I don't know.
I guess so. And the Millennials said, I hope Anarchy in the arena will be less chaotic than what we got last year because we got Darby Allin nearly killing Jack Perry by setting him on fire. Well, Darby Allin's not there. He's climbing Mount Everest, so he's not going to be an Anarchy in the arena. I don't give a fuck about Anarchy in the arena. I know they set it up last night.
They're still doing that foolishness?
Yeah, for the third or fourth year in a row. I don't like that shit. I get why they're doing it. I just think it's garbage, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a fan personally. Tyreek Cunningham is here. Mr. Love Ziggler himself saying wow. I don't know who's saying wow to, but Tyreek is here. Shout out to him. And then Johnny also said Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser can win the tag titles later this year. Not a bad idea. I could see that. Definitely possible. They got to get Kaiser back in the show. He was in a backstage segment this past week for like 2 seconds, and then they moved on. Big pop for Tyreek in the chat. Let's see if he's still here. But last thing I want to ask you about Mr. Marceau, I'll save the AEW stuff for next week. Also on Raw this week, which was a good show, it was headlined by Roxanne Perez and Giulia taking on the team of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, which was an excellent match. It was a very good match, as you would expect. You can't have a match with those four and then not have a great match because the talent is incredible. But it is worth noting, as you tweeted, Giulia got an entrance, but Roxanne Perez did not. And then Rhea Ripley won this match clean for their team. They had Rhea Ripley pin Roxanne Perez. Or actually, it wasn't even Roxanne, it was Giulia. This duo has not won a match since joining Raw. I don't think it's cause for alarm, but it is cause for concern. Because it's like they've already been here 3 weeks and they've been presented well, but they haven't really won anything. And if you're especially not giving a woman like Roxanne an entrance for your main event, which this was Giulia's main roster debut, and she was in the main event, that's fucking cool, like her in-ring debut. That's cool. But they're not going to get over if they're not winning matches. So I know you share the same sentiment as well.
Yeah, no, when I was watching Raw on Monday, honestly, I was rewatching on Tuesday when I realized that it bothered me a little bit that Giulia got an entrance, which I like Giulia great. Roxanne doesn't get an entrance. She gets like the coming back from a commercial. She's kind of like her music's playing. She's sitting on the bottom rope, and then we get Rhea and Io. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I get like, yeah, they're trying to cut time, whatever. But like that entrance they usually give to people like that are just like low mid card. Chad Gable had it earlier in the night. Usually like some of the tag teams usually get that. Like I said, lower mid card. I know people are gonna say, well, they did the same thing with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is a fucking glorified star. It doesn't count. But I mean, so we can't get an entrance for her, but we needed Pat to come out and do his shtick. Why? Like he couldn't have just been at the table. Like they already the night before or 2 nights before, him and Gunther shaking hands. Like clearly he was fine. They're like, oh, I don't know, Pat's gonna make it out tonight. Oh, his music's hitting. Oh my god! Like no one cared. It was so random. It was so dumb. So you can't give Roxanne an entrance. Who you're trying to, like you said, they both came up. They've been getting the better hand of Io and Rhea. Lost every match that's mattered, which makes no sense to begin with. And then you can't even give her an entrance. Like I said, it's like very nitpicky, but like if you want people to care, like they need to like win something. And Io and Rhea have had some tension. Like maybe like they bump into each other. There's like a little like they're not on the same page because why should they be? Like they've been feuding for the last few months. So like maybe they like something happens and they finally get a win over them. They haven't won anything. They've lost every match, including
in NXT, by the way.
In NXT, and like they've had a couple of DQs, but like who cares? Like the actual matches that came to a finish, they've lost every one. And now we're gonna get Io and Rhea again. And I saw Rhea was like bitching on Twitter about wrestling fans, women's wrestling fans. Don't really know what the beginning of that was, but with Rhea specifically, the fatigue on her for fans is crazy because guess what? The last 2.5 fucking years, she's been either the champion or she's been fighting for the championship. Like, what do you expect? You won the belt 2 years ago at WrestleMania 39, and you've literally either held it or been fighting for it for 2.5 years. Like, Io beat her twice. Move on. Move on from her and Io. I don't need to see it again. She's lost twice. Let's just move on. Nope, we're going to have to get it again. And Rhea, who knows? Maybe she'll win the belt. But, like, then she wins the belt again? And, like, that's the problem. It's like, I don't think wrestling fans are fickle. And, like, I get that point. Like, at the end, they were tired of Cody Rhodes, which I get. But, like, in this specific circumstance, like, Io's finally getting her push, and she's been great. Then you have these two younger women with great potential. To keep losing to Rhea, it's like, move on from Rhea. Like, Rhea, like, to do something else. Go away. Go learn a new hold. Go on vacation. I don't know what you need to do. But, like, you have these two great women you call up, and then they just lose constantly. No one's going to care about them.
She's a great talent, and I think she's going to run into the risk, though, of being overexposed in the title picture to the exact reason that you mentioned. I mean, she has been constantly either in the chase or the champion herself for 2.5 years, like you said. I don't really understand why. And I will say this, to play devil's advocate, Rhea has no reason to go back after the belt. Like, has she earned it? No, she hasn't. Because she wasn't pinned at Mania, but she lost the belt because it was her own fucking fault. Because she got distracted by Bianca. And then they had a rematch on Raw, by the way, that ended in shenanigans or whatever the fuck. So I understand that. But she really hasn't done anything to earn an opportunity. She did pick up the win for her team on Monday, so there is that. I will say there is that story to be told with her finally beating Io. Because she's never beaten Io, and she's brought that up a few times. But here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. Why not tell that later on? Like, why does it have to be right now? Why can't we why can't we diverge, like, the paths here and go on Io versus Giulia or Io versus Roxanne and then Rhea versus the other one of those women that they're not feud? Like, why can't Rhea have a non-title feud for a little bit and then go back to the championship? I don't understand. Because you know this is
the exact same place we are now, though, because they both would win, and they both would. Roxanne, Io and Rhea would both win their selective feuds, and then Giulia and Roxanne would be losing still.
Maybe, yeah.
Yes. Rhea couldn't get back to her. She lost.
Probably, but to be fair, at least it would prolong Io losing the belt. Because I think when Rhea faces her again, she's taking that title, dude.
Dude, I'll hop the rail. I'm tired of Rhea being champion. Like I said, she's great. I love Rhea, but it's to this point, it's getting too much. And like I said, it's been over 2 years of her. She was pretty much champion the entire time. That little break that Liv had the belt, okay, it was like fucking 4 months maybe. Then Io held for another month or two. But besides that, she's been champion the entire time.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Or defending. They need to move on. I love Rhea. They did it with Bianca. Like, yeah, Bianca had a couple times she won the belt. But guess what? She's been doing other things.
She moved on to the tag division, yeah.
Rhea she needs to go away for a little bit. Like I said, go to Australia. Go to Australia, learn a new hold or 2 or 3. You can learn 4 new holds. I don't know. Do something. Go away for a little bit because I'm at the point, and I think a lot of fans are at the point, they're just tired of seeing Rhea on TV because she's always in the main title picture.
I'm not going to boo Rhea Ripley because I think she's still great, and I'm not as sick of her as I was of Charlotte for a while there.
She's getting in that territory.
She's inching closer to that territory, I will agree. But I will say, I mean, she doesn't even have to go away. I think she just has to do something else beyond the title picture. I don't know. The problem is maybe it's Becky. I know we've seen that before, but not with Becky as the heel. We haven't seen that. And Becky's never beaten her. I don't know. Like, what would you do? I know you said have her go away. Let's say she's not learning a new hold, but she is around.
Well, 4 holds, but yeah.
4 holds, okay.
Yeah, like I said, maybe she faces Becky, keeps falling short to Lyra, maybe doing her and Becky non-title.
Or Bailey or something. I don't know.
Something without her going for a title. That's all I ask for.
Okay.
She can go for the tag belts if she wants. I could care less. Those are useless as the one around my pants right now. But I mean, just stop. Go away for a little bit.
The fan fatigue around Rhea is understandable. I get it because she's been around. She's been overexposed at the top level for such a long time now, for such a lengthy period that I think the fan fatigue. I'm not seeing it in the crowds, I will be fair. I mean, she's still incredibly over. It's not a Charlotte situation where Charlotte was brought back as a babyface in the Rumble and got fucking booed out of the building.
She's a glorified, she's always been a heel, so it's like that's a little bit different.
I wouldn't turn Rhea heel either, by the way.
What?
I wouldn't turn Rhea heel either.
I wouldn't turn Rhea heel either, but like even like when people like complaining about Becky, like, oh, she, like same thing, but like she came back and she got a huge pop. Like Charlotte would never get that. People would still boo her regardless.
You know, I think
well,
it is funny. You know, we joke about, and shout out to Daniel who came up with the nickname. We joke about Becky Balea, but in the last year and a half, Becky lost the World Women's Title match at WrestleMania last year. She lost the title to Liv Morgan within a month, and then she lost her first match back this past week, her first singles match back to Lyra at Backlash. Whereas Rhea really hasn't lost all that many matches in the last 2.5 years. And I'm all for protecting talent. That's how you get women over. Here's my issue, I think. Rhea got over because she's well, first of all, she's awesome. But second of all, she's dominant. She wins a lot of her matches. That's how you book talent. That's how you make stars. But on that same token, though, you can't get other women over if they're not getting that same treatment. So if Giulia's not winning any matches and Roxanne's not winning any matches, how are they supposed to get over? They're just fucking fodder for the bigger stars. It's Rhea.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, she lost to Liv, which was like, not, I mean, she didn't really lose clean. There was the Dominic interference there.
That was the only time she lost in 2.5 years. Before that, she had not lost in 2.5 years, one-on-one, to be fair.
Then she won the belt back, and then she won Io and like that. Well, lost to Io and that, whatever. Like,
yeah.
I get like distracted. Not really, but okay. And then she lost at Mania, but it wasn't pinned. So she's been pinned twice in 2.5 years.
Yep.
It's a problem.
That is kind of a problem. She shouldn't get pinned all the time, but like Roxanne's gotten pinned more in the last 2 weeks than Rhea has in the last 3 years.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Roxanne I love, and I think Giulia is great too, but Giulia, even more so than Roxanne, has a bit of an aura about her that you shouldn't waste by just having her she got fucking pinned, bro. She got pinned, not even Roxanne. And I'm not saying they should have won the match. But I'm just saying, like, come on. Giulia's going to get pinned. Giulia lost her first match in NXT. But, I mean, come on, man. She's not going to get over. At least in NXT, she was immediately over because she's cool. You're not giving her that same treatment on Raw. She came in as fodder. That literally, you could have not fired Cora Jade and brought her up for that role instead. It would have made 10 times more sense. Because if these women are just going to eat pinfalls, then why not just put someone like Cora Jade in that spot instead of Giulia? Asuka did not show up, and Giulia gives me Asuka vibes in terms of her presentation. Asuka was built up for a little while before she inevitably lost to Charlotte at Mania, but she didn't lose her first fucking match on the show. You know what I mean? Come on.
Like, I get, like, she's losing to Rhea and Io. Like, I get, like, the two of the top women, but like you said, like, they need, like, you need something. Like, a person who's randomly watching, don't watch NXT. They're like, oh, these people must be important. Oh, they lose every match. Yeah, they're losing to a big star, but they lose every time. Like,
yeah.
And you're just you're like B plus Bailey at that point. I mean, you just can't win the big one. You can't beat anyone worth a nickel. So, I mean,
well, at least Bailey's established and got over because she did win matches. To be fair, Giulia and Roxanne, they can't even get to that level unless they win matches. I know it's early, but I mean, still.
I mean, at least Roxanne's a little bit different because she was on the main roster a little bit before she was in the Elimination Chamber. Giulia's like a totally she's like a fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they have to do a better job on that front, and hopefully they do, and hopefully there's a lot less to rant about on that front in the weeks ahead. But I will say this, a lot of activity here in the chat. Richie saying he completely agrees. He said, I'm with RJ, Preach King. Noob said, a lot of people talking about the comparison between Giulia and Io Sky to Asuka. Like, seriously, let Io Sky and Giulia be their own person, not replace Asuka just because your booking is bad. I mean, they're not replacing Asuka, but, like, they need to be booked better, though. Daniel said RJ ranting on Rhea is crazy because he also agrees as well. And he also said, this is my brutality. A lot of respect for RJ's rant on Rhea. Daniel also said, let me put some respect on Buddy Murphy's name. Dude went from Alexa Bliss to Rhea. Quality roster in his back for those two alone. LOL. I've said before, the man's got major Riz game or whatever the kids call it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Noob said, time to move on from Rhea to Io and Giulia. Have Io feud with Giulia. That'll be interesting. Well, you can't have her feud with her if Giulia's fucking losing matches, so it's kind of the problem. Maria said, I agree 100%. Rhea has been hogging up the top spot for too long. There is enough talent in the women's division for them not to have to lean on Rhea all the time. I agree. Johnny said, Rhea can take a vacation, spend more time with Buddy. There you go.
Daniel, I'm trying to help him out.
He's just trying to help him out. He's trying to get them some more quality time. For Mr. What was his name in WWE? Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy, that's what it was. Murphy, baby. And then Daniel also said, let me take another bow, LMAO. So proud of that name, the Becky Balea name. Also made RJ laugh, which I'm proud of. So, yeah, that earns you a lot of praise, Mr. Malcolm, for popping Mr. Marceau with Becky Balea.
Like I said, she puts people over. She's not even Becky Balea.
Well, is it Rhea Balea now? Is that the new nickname?
It might be Rhea Balea at this point.
We got to come up with a new name. Becky Balea, the alliteration is amazing. So, like, we got to come up with an equivalent for Rhea. Rhea Well, Rhea Hogan is what Richie said, and I agree. That's not going to work for me, sister. I agree. But it's not. What is the Australian? Not A. That's Canadian. I don't know. I'm just being stereotypical with like Australian slang. That's not going to work for me, mate. That's what she'll say.
Rhea Cena? I don't even know. You got to think of something good.
I'll think of something. I'll try to think of something before next week. Alexis is better with this stuff than I am. But speaking of her, she also said, as a massive Rhea fan, I completely agree. If you can convince Alexis to agree with you on Rhea, then you know you're doing something right.
We're back on good terms since the whole Cena thing. So
you buried the hatchet on the B plus Bailey thing. She said repackage her a tiny bit, but not before she takes a substantial break. Okay, well, I like that one, Alexis, but it's not bad. Yeah, Richie agrees with this one. Rhea the Ripley Johnson. I kind of like that one, to be fair.
Rhea Johnson.
The
final Aussie, that's a good one. I like that one.
The final Aussie, I like that one, but I just came up with one. Rhea Maivia. Instead of Rocky Maivia, Rhea Maivia.
I like that one.
We're going to go with Rhea Maivia, I think. We got close. Thank you guys for giving me ideas. Rhea the Johnson. Rhea Maivia, baby.
That's a good one.
Well, then we're going to get the Rhea pivot. That's what we got to incorporate that. Becky Pelea and
Rhea Maivia. That's great.
Oh, God. I don't think I can end on a better note than that. We'll be back here next week talking all about Rhea Maivia and Becky Pelea and all the rest of the cast of characters on Raw. Be sure to sign up for a WrestleRant All Access pass here on the channel, $5 a month. It will get you a lot of stuff, including shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream, including Alexis Miss Mon Matthews, Dylan Giacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Daniel Malcolm, RJ Marceau. Follow him on the Twitter machine at RJ_Marceau, of course. John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland here on the YouTube machine. Richie, Red Planet Wrestling here on YouTube. And Average Grunt on the Twitter machine as well, at the Average Grunt. New episodes every single Thursday on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to like the video on the way out and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified every single time new content goes up and every single time we go live here on the channel, including on Thursdays with Mr. Marceau and myself for WrestleRant Radio. Any parting words, Mr. Marceau, as we end on the Rhea Maivia note there?
Oh, my God. I'm dying. Richie's comment was says Rhea smacks her forearm for every title match. I'm fucking dying.
New meme unlocked.
Gotta show the goosebumps.
Gotta show off the goosebumps.
Oh, God, I'm dying. Rhea Maivia. Unreal.
Oh, no, we got one more comment here. The post-credit scene as we close off. Tyreek said, you guys never answered my question I posted earlier. Tyreek, I did not see your question. I've been paying attention to the chat. You just said, all I saw you say was, wow. If your comment had something inappropriate in it, then maybe it didn't show up. Because I know Mr. Marceau, you said I looked sexy or something one time, and it didn't show up in the chat.
Yeah, it didn't show up that one time, yeah.
What, Tyreek, if you're still here in the next 30 seconds, I'll answer your question. This is not, what was your question? What's our Love Ziggler nickname? Rhea Ripley's Love Ziggler nickname is Rhea Maivia. So we'll come up with our own Love Ziggler nicknames.
Well, I'm looking at it. I don't see a question. The only one I see is wow. And I said maybe it's something that had something inappropriate it didn't post. But.
Yeah, maybe it had something in it. Oh, wait, yeah, let me see. Let me turn it to live chat instead of just top chat. I'm going to backtrack real quick for you, Tyreek. No, I even did all chat, not even just live chat. And yeah, all messengers are available. And all I'm just seeing is wow. Tyreek, where is your question? Your question from 2 months ago about Love Ziggler? I think that's your question. Well, keep me posted, Tyreek. We'll answer it here next week on the show along with Rhea Maivia and everything else. This has been a blast, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. For Mr. Marceau, I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Enjoy the weekend, folks, and we'll catch your ass down the road. Peace.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.